small as these crops are, they're now a substantial leverage in global trade. The soybeans. The US and Brazil together dominate over 2/3 of production, while China wields significant market power, importing roughly 100 million tons every year since 2020. China imports more soybeans than any other country in the world, so it's easy to tell how big a relationship the small beans have formed in between China, US, and South America. The crucial source of animal feed and cooking oil has remained a flashpoint throughout the ebbs and flows of the trade disputes between China and the US, from the tariff turbulence during the first Trump administration to the current one.
中美摩擦以后整个的大豆的价格波动幅度达到60到70美分，远远超了往年的大概10倍左右。
Brazil overtook the US as the top soybean source for China, and there have been other emerging alternatives like Argentina. On the one hand, buyers here naturally turn to cheaper choices to sidestep eye-watering costs. On the other hand, Brazil has quickly expanded its yields and become the world's largest soybean producer.
We are growing our productivity much more than, for example, US. The US is growing the total productivity factor in 1.1% a year. We are growing 2.5% a year. In the last 20 years, it was 3.2%.
巴西大豆产量这些年每年的增幅非常多，每年500多万吨、600多万的速度在递升，它的产量远远地超过了美国。
The statistics of this trade relationship are staggering. We're talking about billions of dollars, millions of tons. How China's changing demand is shaking up the markets, and whether this will form a long-term trade landscape. In order to truly understand what it's all about, in this episode, I will talk to China's soybean buyers, agricultural tech developers, and of course, get some first-hand information from where the soybean source. This is Mato Grosso in central western Brazil, which by its name means thick forest that's historically known for its agricultural production. I flew halfway across the earth to the news source, Mato Grosso, the state that's Brazil's largest producer of soybeans, in October, the year's sowing season. And yes, I itched to hop onto the giant cedar, and that's me talking to the operator.
Faço 140 hectares por dia, trabalho 12 horas por dia, de outubro a dezembro.
Honestly, before I had no idea about the size of the Brazilian farms until I set foot there. You could be driving on a bumpy road for hours and never leave the one farm. Every farmland in Mato Grosso is calculated with tens of thousands of hectares or hundreds of millions of square meters.
We are doing double crops.
These lands usually grow corn, cotton, coffee, or soybeans in turn, and even breed livestock. The two farms I visited in October only finished harvesting cotton and corn and started planting soybeans for the year.
China is the first destination of our products. China represents 35 to 40% of what we export in the agri-food sector. We are doing $165 billion of exports every year. China represents 60 billion.
And the proportion for exports of soybeans to China is even bigger.
Bom, Cargill ADM, mas eu acredito que em torno de 80%, que é mais ou menos a média.
Aproximadamente 70%.
See the smiling faces? China's been demanding more soybeans.
每年我们的加工大豆数量大体上在1200多万吨，其中呢有80-90万吨是国产大豆，其他呢1000多万吨呢来自于进口。进口的国家呢主要是你像巴西、阿根廷、美国。
Ehai Carry Arawana is one of the largest cooking oil processing companies in China, consuming more than 12 million tons of soybeans a year.
这些年进口购正在发生很大的变化，80%来自于巴西，过去中国从美国进口的大豆数量占到70-80%。
In China, soybeans from Brazil are mainly used for producing soybean meal and oil processing. Soybean meals for livestock such as pork, poultry, and aquaculture, and cooking oil for food industry.
巴西大豆很重要的一个原因呢，含油很高，含油20多。美国大豆基本上在18，油的价值高嘛，多一个油就少一个破。
Historically, China's soybean buyers have usually bought Brazilian soybeans from February to September. After that, from October to January, US soybeans dominate procurement lists. Take a look at the overall soybean export prices released by the International Grains Council, where you can see the soybean prices of the three major producers, and the local buyers will pay the tariff and value-added taxes based on the prices. So due to the tariff turbulence triggered by the Trump administration, the soybean buyers in China have turned to Brazil as a dominant source throughout the year.
中美的这个关税摩擦发生以后，我们的采购主要目标地 就完全是对着巴西，而不是美国了。我们现在已经在巴西派有专业的团队，他们已经深入了巴西的主产地。
Starting last year, the soybean importer dispatched procurement professionals to Brazil for the first time. The change in procurement strategy has not affected the world's largest soybean importers' demand. In the first 11 months of last year, China already imported more than 100 million tons of soybeans. In November, soybean imports reached a four-year high. That means the country's soybean imports are likely to reach another record high for the year in 2025. Has that kept you even busier?
Sim. A demanda realmente está muito aquecida, o Brasil tem exportado. Agora no mês de setembro, novamente, foi exportação recorde de soja no Brasil. Né? 11, acho que se não me engano, 11 milhões de toneladas foram exportadas. Então, realmente, o mercado de soja está muito aquecido no Brasil, nesse momento, pela China e também outros países que têm comprado o Brasil.
So this is soybean sleeves.
Sim, soja.
Can we walk inside?
Yes.
Just be careful, right? Yeah. Don't touch the leaves.
De soja nós plantamos ao total 24 mil hectares. É mais ou menos 55%.
Usually, the farms spend a month planting the seeds starting from October, and it would take another 4 months to harvest the soybeans. In 4 months, we can get soybeans from this land.
Yes. For China, have more 6 months, and we need a truck.
Go to the port.
Yes.
And then go to Shanghai.
Yes.
Many of the farms in Mato Grosso have been planting soybeans for decades, and exports to China date back as far as 25 years ago.
A soja tem aumentado a produtividade nos últimos anos, né? A gente levou em torno de 10 a 15% a produtividade nos últimos 5 anos.
It's a common theme among the farms in the area. They're growing more soybeans, and a larger share of the harvest goes to China. At this point, I started wondering how the farms have been able to increase their productivity in such a rapid speed. It turns out to have a lot to do with another big Brazilian farm industry, cattle.
Fazem 5 anos. É a área de reverte. Aqui era pura pecuária e agora é alterna.
The day I visited the farm, the cattle had just moved to the other side of the land, and so the left side of the land was available for planting soybeans. The reason for the transformation was pretty easy. A more lucrative business.
Eu acho que 100%, porque o mercado asiático, eu acho que em torno de 20%.
It's not as simple as just moving a few cows and then planting soybeans. They have to first recover the land downgraded by the cattle to make sure it's suitable for the new crop. And so I met with a technician to learn more about these efforts. I think the land here looks like desert. Is it possible to plant soybeans?
The characteristics with this soil, it's 10% until 20% of clay in Brazil.
It's hard to plant
It's hard to plant. So to achieve to plant that, we need to use cover crops. This is the cover crop, and the roots with this cover crop will bring the nutrients in 1 meter of deep in the soil and push that for the superficie here for this moment. So we have a sand soils, and with the nutrients more close here, it's good and the best way to start to planting. We put cattle here, cows, to eat that, and this will become straw to protect the sand soils to a loss of water. Here
and provide organic materials.
Exactly. I will try to show exactly the roots. Maybe we can just see. Look, that's so baby root.
It feels kind of interesting when I touch the cold and humid crop roots when I was standing on a seemingly dry soil in a scorching 36-degree heat. It's a magic of nature, and also the brilliant minds that figure out a way to bring new life to the soil and more money to the farm owners.
Normalmente ela consegue dar uma rentabilidade 2 vezes maior que a da pecuária, né? Aqui no Brasil, a soja é uma das atividades agrícolas mais rentáveis e dá um rendimento médio em torno de 15% por safra.
When the soil is ready, it's time to plant the seeds. Oh, there are many of them. It looks like pearl. The seeds don't look like ordinary yellow soybeans. They're covered with a colored cloth. Protecting the seeds against plagues and disease is part of the big task facing agriculture tech firms in Brazil.
Those are soybean seeds. What we are seeing here, we are comparing seeds with no application of products. After being treated, we want the same development, the same quality, and the same physiology. The products cannot affect the seed germination.
So the blue bean means it's covered with medicines.
Yeah.
When you apply those medicines to the seeds, how much more yields are you expecting?
Oh, in different crops we have different answers for that. but we can improve, for example, plus 10 bags each hectare. That might be around 20%, 15%. Wow. In Brazil, we plant almost 40 million hectares of soybeans every year. So this is quite important to test products, to have covered the safety of applying these products in these big areas of plantations. Yeah.
What about the growth rate? Is it growing, still growing every year?
Yeah, soybean plantations are still growing in Brazil, and it's roughly around 5% increase every year.
The Seed Care Institute is part of agriculture tech developer Syngenta's R&D center in Brazil. Syngenta was originally a crop protection and seed company from Switzerland. In 2017, it was acquired by ChemChina. That $43 billion deal was the largest ever foreign acquisition by a Chinese firm. And in 2020, ChemChina and Sinochem Group consolidated their agricultural assets into a new holding company called Syngenta Group. Syngenta has thus become the world's largest agriculture technology company.
In the past 20 years, for instance, if I think about the results of Syngenta in Brazil, it has grown more than 3 times the size of the business as a whole. And with that, we are of course making investments so that we can develop more technology for tropical agriculture. So if I think, for instance, of the acquisitions, of how we structure our market access in a different way, so a lot of this has happened in the past 5 years.
While China's demanding more soybeans from Brazil, the agri-tech firms are allocating more resources also in this South American nation's agriculture industry. The business scope has thus been consolidated in the country.
Actually, in Brazil, we have 7 million hectares with growers that use technologies from Syngenta Digital. I think that's almost 70% of the market share from the entire Brazil.
To see the growth behind the numbers, I paid a visit into the firm's R&D center in Brazil. Hey, nice to meet you.
Hey, nice to meet you. Welcome, Lisa.
Wow, very nice.
It's a pleasure to receive you here in our research center here in Olambra. This is an important site that we have here in Brazil. This is a site that we have more than 50 hectares here.
And so what's the function of this R&D center?
Here we check technologies for like herbicides, fungicides, insecticides, products for seed treatment and also biologicals to provide different solutions to our customers to help and address the technical needs that they have at the field.
For what kind of markets?
We have solutions here and we develop and check for Brazil and also other countries that we have here in Latin America like Argentina, Paraguay.
The R&D center features a lab with more than 35 professionals testing new technologies.
In the last 5 years, we have launched 3 very important technologies that we have. And in this year, we are having the opportunity to launch another new technology to help and control nematodes, seeds, and soil disease.
Any significant expansion?
Yeah, we say that every year we expand something around $2 billion all around the world. A huge part of it, it's here in Brazil. So every year we invest in here. This land, for example, we will build a new lab, a new biological lab.
Biological?
Yes, a specific biological lab. We are talking more than 2,000 square meters here. The idea of the start of the operation to be around 28, 29.
How will it help soybean planting? How much more yields are expected?
5%, 10%, 50%. Until 20%, I think it's possible to find it and to develop something like this.
So it's expected to be a long-term investment in Brazil's growing agriculture industry and its attractiveness for more international demand, especially from East Asia.
I see China as today a big player in some technologies. For example, agrochemicals are coming from China, seeds and genetics. We also have machinery.
长期来看的话呢，我觉得巴西大豆还是作为一个主力供应地，我们还是会大量的采购巴西大豆，这点是可以肯定的。
Fan Yi is a general manager assistant at a local crop importer Xiamen Xiangyu. Checking soybean prices and figuring out a right solution are part of his daily routine. The tariff turbulence last year has kept him even busier.
今年您总体来说，大豆的贸易，你觉得是更容易了还是更难了？
从我们全链条的这个环节来说的话呢，我觉得今年的交易环境啊，对所有参与者来说，我觉得是更难了，远远脱离了往年或者平常大家传统的用供需的格局分析，政策性的变化就成了这个市场波动起伏最大的一个推手。这样非常多的不确定性呢，就会让所有参与者感觉到手足无措，甚至有些时候根本没有应对的措施。但是从另外一个角度来说，可能对我们来说是更有价值，利用价差来获取利润的 时代早就已经过去了。
For the many soybean importers in China, just playing it by ear is no longer a priority. 厦门项羽, for example, is seeking for a transformation so as to gain more stable profits.
那现在的综合服务供应链体系呢，就是强调的是你要完整你的整个供应链上面的所有的环节，你在每个地方都可以找到服务的点和服务的利润，这样才能获取更多的价值获得。
你所说的新的这个利润点是能够帮助覆盖这些价差的这个变化吗？
在阶段性上是可以的，因为所有的参与者他是面临自己的生产成本和这服务成本是各自不相同的，所以这个呢需要每个企业尽可能的压缩自己的成本，尽可能优化自己的服务。其次呢，你的供应链体系建设的越完整，越有价值，或者你的供应链体系在市场上竞争力更强，这样的企业呢才会有生存的空间，也才会能找到更多的利润。
The company now can handle tasks all along the supply chain, from soybean procurement to oil processing and soya meat production, all the way to final sales. With another new oil processing factory expected to open this year, it's built up its own sea freight and cargo trading teams to do soybean trade by themselves starting from 2024. Trading volume last year was already 2.5 times that of 2024's figure.
贸易端如果做到一定的规模，就可以和我们自己的工厂需求端形成一个良性的互动。就是我们作为一个供应链，他们作为一个产业链，双链可以互相的互补。我们亚大的需求上升的规模呢10%左右，我们大豆的贸易量是翻倍增长的。
For China's oil processing firms, they've been working hard to diversify their choices. For whatever source or crop, it's always risky to put all your eggs in one basket. Just take a look at how the trade landscapes changed in the past decade. Although the US announced that a new trade agreement had been reached in late October, and China's agreed to restart substantial purchases of American soybeans after months of near-zero imports, how much of the crop China will import from the US in the end still remains limbo.
10多年前，我们在非洲就有布局，在中亚地区、乌克兰地区都有布局。进口渠道的多元化，进口品种的多样性。 严格的期货套保，避免市场价格大跌大涨。
Of course, companies always kept it in mind to avoid risks, and financial tools like futures trading are an effective way.
因为大豆这个品种，它本身和其他商品的相比来说的话呢，它的金融化和标准化程度更高。利用期货、现货，包括内盘、外盘的一个多种工具的使用，在有压榨利润的时候呢，我们现货方面呢。 尽快的完成一个定价，在期货方面呢，内盘进行定价，外盘呢，我们及时的进行完成点价。
In December 2004, the Dalian Commodity Exchange launched a No. 2 soybean futures contract, which is primarily oriented towards imported soybeans.
2004年，大豆系列的品种抛期保值效率均达到了90%以上。参与华豆2号期货交易的企业现货量占市场总量的70%。参与豆粕和豆油期货交易的大豆压榨企业的压榨量也达到了全国90%以上。目前，国内约有75%的豆粕、40%的豆油现货贸易均采用了大商所的期货品种来进行基差定价。
Soybean-related futures and options were also the first varieties in China's futures market that allow overseas traders to participate in the trading of the entire series starting at the end of 2022. So far, more than 150 overseas clients from 30 countries and regions have participated in this trading. So, we're not just talking about growth and expansion, it's equally about adaptation and resilience. A turbulence of trade disputes has taught China's importers and crushers a critical lesson. Over-reliance on a single source is a strategic vulnerability. Their response has been a deliberate and calculated shift. They've been diversifying suppliers, investing directly in overseas supply chains, and building a sophisticated financial shield through a complete domestic futures market. China's immense and unwavering demand for soybeans is far more than a trade statistic. It is a fundamental force reshaping agricultural landscapes and international relationships. As we've seen, this demand has directly fueled Brazil's rise as an agricultural superpower, transforming its heartland, driving technological investment from Chinese companies, and creating deep structural economic ties between the two nations. They're moving from being passive price takers to active managers of a complex global pipeline. The smiling faces of Brazilian farmers and the busy analysts at Chinese commodity exchanges are two sides of the same coin. They're linked by a simple, enduring truth: the world needs to feed itself. China's strategy to secure its protein supply by nurturing new sources, fostering agricultural innovation abroad, and fortifying its financial defenses ensures that the humble soybean will remain a powerful lever in global trade, diplomacy, and economic strategy for years to come.